All right, welcome back, West Coast. It is 13 minutes after 9 o'clock. You're listening to Long Beach Radio, and I'm joined here by Genevra, who has just introduced herself as a self-taught pickle lover. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
It's all right.
We're here to talk about fermented food, and well, why don't you qualify the statement self-taught pickle lover and how you got involved with this fermented food stuff.
Okay, well, I love pickles, first of all. And when I would go to the store and I would be looking for pickles to purchase and I'd read the label, as I typically do, I noticed that I couldn't really find pickles without preservatives or artificial colors. And that really bothered me. So I started looking into ways that I could create my own pickles without artificial preservatives or colors. And I just discovered fermentation.
Well, see, this is kind of interesting to me because I would think, why would you need artificial preservatives and colors with pickles, which are just already a preserved version of a cucumber? It seems like it's already done. Why do you need? Why would they even put that stuff in there?
Right. Well, I believe that you're right. They don't necessarily need it for pickles because it is in vinegar, which is a natural preservative and preserves quite well. But by using the preservatives and the colors, it gives you a more predictable product. So you get a consistent product.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like how there's that criticism of organic food whereby, you get there and it doesn't look as green as a lime does from where it's the same sort of thing, more of an aesthetic concern.
Yeah, it's kind of like the McDonald's approach to food.
Yep.
Everything needing to be the same.
Yeah, understood. So you decided to get into fermenting and preserving your own pickles and whatnot.
Yep.
And how hard was it to pick up?
It's not difficult at all, actually. I did start with cucumbers. I've since fermented many vegetables. But no, it's not difficult at all. You just have to make sure that you're basically controlling the conditions. So you want to make sure you add enough salt, and you want to make sure you ferment it at the proper temperature, and that your vegetables always submerged in the liquid, and yet you observe it daily, basically, to make sure everything's going okay.
And you're doing a workshop in a little while about it, and basically the idea is you're going to take what you've learned in your fermenting recently and give people a chance to I guess, benefit from your wisdom and have their own crack at it.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for 2 years, so I've accumulated lots of experience. I've made lots of mistakes and learned from them, and I have lots of special recipes that I could share as well. And basically, I think when you first approach fermentation, because it's so strange, it used to be commonly done in basically all over the world, all cultures. You can pretty much find a fermented vegetable or recipe for every culture.
And beer.
And beer, definitely.
Possibly my favorite fermented food.
Yes, and I haven't much gotten into the beer because there's so much great beer available that I haven't really taken to doing it myself, although it is possible. So I would just like to help people kind of dive into fermenting their own food. And because it is so different and it's something that hasn't been done, typically for a long time, I think there's a little bit of intimidation, maybe a little bit of fear, and I just kind of want to help people overcome that so they can get right into their food, and just like touch. Usually when I make sauerkraut, I'm adding salt to the cabbage, I'm massaging my cabbage, I'm touching my cabbage. So it kind of it's interesting. It kind of helps you create a more intimate relationship with your food, especially when you do it with friends.
Well, we mentioned earlier, just before we got on here, that it's kind of that fermentation is kind of like magic. There's actually living beings in fermented food.
Yes, fermentation is very much like magic, and that never ceases to amaze me. The bacteria that are responsible for the fermentation are naturally present on the vegetable itself. So all you need is water and salt, and sometimes not even water. Sometimes all you need is salt. And if you get really brave and you make sure you kind of know what you're doing, sometimes you don't even need salt. So it very much is.
So it's totally magic.
It is, and people who I've read stories about other cultures in the past used to do fermentation, and that's how they viewed it. They viewed it as a magical process, and it was highly revered in the culture. And they would have, like for example, some cultures, when they would brew their beer, they had a stick, and they would use this stick every year after year. It was their special brewing stick. They would stir with it, and then they would hang it up, and they would retrieve it the next year. The yeast would be dormant on the stick, and then they would just inoculate their beer with yeast.
So there was a reason to use the magic stick over and over again.
Very much so.
Science and magic becoming one.
Yes.
But you do have you've got a couple of jars here. This is the sauerkraut. I think we're going to hold on to that. But this looks like it's got bits up. Are those peppers and stuff in there? What's going on?
That is what I call root chi. It's a variation on the Korean kimchi. And what you see here are Jerusalem sunchokes. You see carrots. You see leeks. And then there is ginger, garlic, and chili.
So it's not just about pickles.
No. Pickle could refer to a cucumber or the general process of pickling. Which is what this is.
That makes sense. Are we going to crack into this?
Yes.
So this
let's
is breakfast?
Do it.
All right. Are you going to be able to open that? That's a big jar.
And it
I'm
does.
I'm not offering because I'm not tough at all. I was just saying that we might.
I have a lot of experience, and you can see it's bubbling there.
Oh yeah. So is that the chemical reaction?
That's the gas that the bacteria is releasing there, and it's perfectly fine. It's just carbonation.
Okay.
So nothing to worry
All
about.
right.
And this is really special. I think this is truly a regional product because I got these sunchokes from the medicine farm. Also the leeks. And, of course, the bacteria that are within the product are regional. So
is that the tip of an asparagus in there?
That is a leek.
That is a leek. Okay. Yeah. I'm not really... I like to eat it, but I can't identify all of it. That's for sure. That's why Bobby Lax comes in on Fridays. It entertains me and educates me about food. All right. This might be messy. That's good. Spicy. I like spicy. Yeah, you should. You should. You were saying... talking with my mouth full on the radio.
I hope you like spicy food.
I love spicy food.
This is spicy. I should have warned you.
No, spicy's great. There's actually a lot going on there. Like
Yum.
I always think of pickled food as kind of being pretty, maybe not bland, but kind of a singular flavored sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But this is like something you could dip crackers into and have like a really great sort of whole antipasto, I guess, kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. You can use this in so many ways. And the flavors in this are very complex. This has been aging for about a month now. And the more it just like wine, the more it ages, the more complex the flavors get. And it's definitely not singular. There's a whole lot going on. Well, first of all, there's a lot of spices in there. So you kind of have those adding the spice. And then the fermentation process itself just kind of makes things more complex. It adds that tang to it. Yeah. When I tasted this before I put it in the jars, it didn't taste anything like that. So it's definitely a product of it sitting there, fermenting, aging, and doing its magical thing. Yeah.
All right. So you talked about how it needs time to ferment and do its thing. And your workshop, which I guess we should start getting onto, is set up specifically to allow time.
That's right.
For that to happen in the workshop, so you actually kind of get to see it from beginning to end instead of just, now go take it home, hope it all works out.
That's right, yeah. The first workshop's on May 7th. It's at the Ucluelet Community Center. It starts at 11. It ends at 3. And during that first day, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about fermentation. I'm going to answer lots of questions. Well, I'm anticipating questions. Yeah. And we're going to actually prepare a ferment. So we're going to chop the vegetables. We're going to add the salt. We're going to talk about various methods of doing so and various vessels you can use. And then everybody's going to take it home and let it sit on their counter. And then on the 11th at 7 p.m., that goes from 7 to 9 p.m., we're going to open up the jars, make sure everything worked okay, which we're hoping that it will. And we're going to eat. And I'm going to make some other goodies and bring some other goodies.
And have a big smorgasbord.
That's right. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. That sounds like so much fun. So 7th and the 11th are the dates in question.
Yes.
I don't know if you've got a web presence for it, but we can post some of the information on our website so that if people want to know more, we'll have it there in an hour or so once I get it all together. But it sounds like a lot of fun. Is there a cost associated with it? Is it a community event?
There is a cost. It's $65, and it includes all the materials.
All the materials.
So you just show up. I might request that people bring a knife because I don't know if we have especially if you have a favorite knife. I know I certainly have a favorite knife, and I feel kind of out of my element if I use a different one. But I think I've just chopped too many times with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And and also I don't know if there's enough sharp knives. So bring a knife if you don't have a sharpener, or if it's not sharp enough, that's okay. I will have a sharpener at the workshop, and so you could actually get your knife sharpened as well.
Fantastic. There you go. Knife sharpening doesn't.
There you go.
You're covering your costs.
Just in case you're disappoised with the fermentation, maybe you should get your knife sharpened.
Knife.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for bringing this tasty stuff,
Sure.
and good luck with the workshop. Sounds like a lot of fun.
And can I mention one more thing?
Yeah.
I really encourage people to at least check it out and decide for themselves whether or not they're interested in learning about fermentation and pursuing it at all, be it through my workshop or just, on their own with a group of friends, because I really believe it can contribute to the efforts that are being made in this local area and all over the island for food preservation. One of the original reasons why people really practice fermentation of food is because it would help them preserve food, get them through long winters.
Yeah.
And that's why commonly fermented vegetables are the root vegetables, the fall, the winter crops mainly.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and it was mainly done as a community-centered activity. So it's really great if you could get together with a big group of friends, kind of continuing with the spirit of fermentation, because it is a lot of work. I mean, you don't really want to sit down and necessarily only do one jar.
Yeah.
You might as well do a bunch, store it up.
Yeah.
And it does tend to take up a lot of room in the refrigerator, so if you could maybe find yourself a different form of storage, like maybe if you have a cellar or a basement, it stores, you don't necessarily need it in a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what else I wanted to mention is that my workshop is available for people who might want a little bit of help learning,
Yep.
but also it's entirely possible that people learn on their own and put up their own food and have nutritious food without preservatives or colors to get them through the winter.
Yeah, it's nice. Food security, I know, is a concern for people in that 100-mile diet and all that those movements, and this is a good way to kind of feed into all of those.
Absolutely.
And hang out with the friends
That's
as well.
right. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
and
thank you for having
good luck
me.
with the workshop, and we'll have some information on the Facebook group and on the Long Beach Radio website very, very shortly.